when you look at our whiteboard here, you see the word water. Water is the essential use for people, and without water, you cannot survive. That's why you hear people say, water is life. You look at this here, the topic is water, the subtopic is about the water-borne disease. But before you look at the subtopic of what is our lesson today to discuss, we have to get back and know what is this water. Water is a white white liquid, and water is being found in so many ways. You can find water in ocean, you can find water in lakes, you can find water in springs, water in wells, you can find water in dams, rivers. Now, those are other sources of water. And also this the same water can be stored. This water can be stored and can make use, because this water is also useful where you can use it for recreational, that is swimming. Water can be used in the farm. Water can be used at home for domestic use by washing our houses, washing clothes. And water also very useful where it can be used also in farming, where you can use it in spring, in irrigation. You can use the same water also in industries, where it's used in making fountain, washing of mixing of chemicals in the industry, and that's now usefulness of the water. But this water also, when it's contaminated, it becomes unsafe for people, and that's why now we look at our subtopic. We're going to look at this waterborne. Now, when you talk about water and then borne, now this borne, it means that it affects the body organs. It affects the body organs or some parts of the body. That's why we are talking about now the waterborne disease. Now, what does it mean by waterborne disease? These are diseases. Now, we talk about the waterborne. Now, we are going now to look at this one now by looking now at what we call the waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases. Now, we'll talk about the waterborne diseases. Now, I've said that when the water is affected or when the water is contaminated, when you take it or when you come in contact with it, you'll be affected in your body because it affects some parts of your body organs. Now, what is waterborne diseases? Waterborne diseases, these are diseases that are transmitted through contaminated water. The water that has gotten some impurities, the water that has gotten some problem. And that's why if you check at my lesson here, we have some water here. This water is clean. You can see it is clean. But now, how do you ensure that this water is pure for you to take? This water, you have to take about now where you used to treat it. Now, we are going to see when you take the water that is contaminated, which diseases are you going now to engage in? Now, so shortly, I will give you the meaning by writing it down there so that you are able to see what is it about the waterborne disease. I've said waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases are transmitted through contaminated water. So, if someone may ask you what are waterborne diseases, just give this person a very simple meaning. These are diseases that are transmitted. These are diseases that are transmitted through contaminated water. We have around 4 examples. We have around 4 examples of waterborne diseases. But now, in my lesson and as a topic, we are going only to discuss about 3, which are now are most being found and people are most affected. Now, examples of waterborne disease. Examples of waterborne diseases. diseases. Examples of waterborne diseases. One is cholera. And how do you get cholera? How do you get cholera? Cholera is caused by a bacteria. And cholera, how do you know that you have cholera? Is when you be having persistent diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration, and cholera will be found by you taking water that is contaminated. And that's why if you are being keen, when you watch news or the TVs, you have heard about people being affected by taking the contaminated water. Because when the water is contaminated, even when you used to cook food with it, these people will be affected. And cholera is very dangerous. Cholera is very dangerous, where you can get cholera when it mixes, where we have now the sewage and the water comes together. People get cholera because of that sewage. And then the other one is typhoid. Now, this one now is pure when you take the water itself by drinking the water that is contaminated. This water is very, the water that contains the typhoid bacteria. You find that you have some skin rashes on your back, skin rashes in your body, severe headache, and also abdominal pains and poor appetite. That one indicates that you are suffering from a waterborne disease known as typhoid. And we have again another one, which is very important that you know. This one is known as bilharzia. And how do you get bilharzia, or how do you contaminate? Do you get bilharzia as the waterborne disease to your body? Bilharzia, you get it when you go and you engage yourself with water in those swampy areas, or you step into water that is passing. Now you know bilharzia, we have the inhabitation of small males who they usually hatch inside that water. So when you step inside that water, the small males will start getting inside your skin. So they get in contact with your body through the skin pores, and that's how you will start suffering from bilharzia. And now the bilharzia is quite a disease that is very dangerous, because it is caused by what you call the bilharzia flukes. These bilharzia flukes, they come in contact with the body and they get inside your skin, and then you suffer from this waterborne disease. And the very best sign that you will know that you're suffering from bilharzia, you will see what we call the blood stains inside in your stool. The blood stain in your stool. And then another one that you have to also, or to note that you're suffering from bilharzia, you also, when you are emptying your bladder, you will find that we have some itchiness. We have some itchiness that will be in your bladder and also in your bowel. So when you go for the long haul, you feel like you have to do something inside your long haul there, inside there, down there. You will have to feel that, and also itching when you're going for a short call. So the symptom that you will have to, the sign and the symptom that you have to know that you're suffering from this waterborne disease known as bilharzia is the blood in the stain and the itching in the urinary bladder. And then the other sign that you have to know about when you're suffering from typhoid is the skin rashes. And then on the cholera, the sign that you have to look at it, that it will ensure that you have to identify that this disease I'm suffering from is cholera. You look at now what you call the persistent diarrhea, where you don't have a break. You only go to the toilet and you are diarrheaing in a very fast way. To go very fast to summarize our work, today we were discussing about the waterborne disease. In our lesson, we are discussing about the waterborne disease. What are waterborne diseases? Waterborne diseases are diseases that are transmitted through contaminated water. The water that has been made impure by sewages, by other dirty things around the atmosphere and around the earth. Examples of waterborne disease: we have cholera, and sign and symptom which will make to know if you're suffering from cholera is persistent diarrhea. And then we have the second one, typhoid, which sign will make you to know that you're suffering from typhoid is the skin rashes in around your body. And then bilharzia, the blood stain in the stool and the urinary itching in your bladder is one that will make you to know that you're suffering from bilharzia.